Welcome to the Marshall News and View Show. I'm Elaine Conyers, and my guest today is Mayor Robert Byrnes, mayor of our wonderful city. And welcome back. And first of all, I think we should just mention a little bit how successful Marshall has been over the past 6 and 7 years. Now that they haven't pretty much always been successful, but we've seen so much growth in the past few years, and I've said on other shows that I believe that it's the collaboration that we have with the city government, with the EDA, and with the chamber, and everybody working together to help Marshall grow.
Well, that is a good point. As a regional community, Elaine, and Elaine, first off, thank you for hosting this show. Thank you for inviting me on here. It truly is a pleasure.
Okay.
So, but Marshall's growth as a regional center is really because of a lot of partnerships.
Yes.
Partnerships with the city, partnerships with the county, partnership with Southwest Minnesota State University. We have a lot of public-private sector partnerships. We have great businesses, great employers in the community. We have a great nonprofit community, a lot of state agencies that are in the community, and really all of these things working together.
Yeah.
So, it's never just one thing that makes
No.
a community go. It's and sometimes if it's only one thing that makes a community not thrive. So it's really everybody working together. So, as you mentioned, Marshall, continues to have growth in the community.
Yes.
We see, in the last census we had about 7% growth in the community. Every year I always say we have a modest growth. You don't want to have uncontrolled, unplanned growth, and certainly we do have planned growth in the community. And you see, a number of things that are going on right now. You drive down College Drive, you see. Western Mental Health,
Yes.
is building their new
Yes.
hospital there. The former liquor store, the municipal liquor store that's being, that of course was sold at auction, and the private developers developing that into businesses that are there. That construction is going on right now. There's a Taco Bell's under construction on
Yes.
College Drive.
Yeah.
There's new pharmacy that is under construction over near ACMC, just off of Lion Street. So there's a number of things that are going on that are in the community and will continue to go on. If you get on the north end of town in the industrial park or near the industrial park area, Shoneman Implement, the John Deere dealership, they're finishing up a very large expansion to their shop and retail store. Action Track Chair is putting a very large addition onto their manufacturing plant. So there's continuing activity, and of course this time of year there's a bit of a frenzy because everybody wants to get the groundwork done, the foundation in the ground before winter sets in.
Right.
And even though it hasn't seemed like it so far in November, I'm sure the weather is going to change.
Oh, it's going to change, and it may do it very quickly.
Right.
And when you mentioned the work that's being done out in the industrial park, it's amazing to me how fast the last couple of industrial parks have filled up. And, we're looking again, or have looked more quickly than in the past to add more.
And you and I both remember, the Industrial Park East along Highway 59, that one took about 20 years to fill up. And then when we opened up the Sansegard Industrial Park, that is Lake Road coming off of Highway 68, that mostly filled up within just a few years. With Ralco's there, with their warehouse, they have plans for further expansion there. Action Track Chair that I just mentioned is their beverage wholesalers. It was relocated from a different part into a more modern facility, and then of course the Runnings distribution center, which is a very large distribution center to feed their stores. So with that pretty much almost fills up, or at least has most of the property spoken for expansion. So now we're looking at the Commerce Park Industrial Park, which is not far from there, but that right now Michigan Road ends at where the MMUA Training Center is.
Yes.
And immediately west of there is 160 acres that a number of years ago the city purchased, and then that property then will be developed into the next industrial park. So we do have a TED grant, which is a grant from the Minnesota Department of Transportation and Minnesota Department of Economic Development to construct a new intersection with the extension of Michigan Road and Highway 68. And that will be a similar intersection to what is at Lake Road and Highway 68, where there'll be an acceleration lane, and because Highway 68 goes northwest, it's not straight with the world, so the road will come in at a right angle, so there'll be a bit of a curve there to make that a more safe intersection, because we anticipate that there'll be quite a bit of truck traffic that will be on Michigan Road once that area is completed. And of course we're actively working with prospects then that would occupy. We don't just want to open up a new industrial park and let it sit, but we're actively working with prospects to occupy, and certainly one of those prospects is the True Shrimp Project, which is a new project that Ralco has for land-based shrimp production.
Yeah,
and we're hopeful that would eventually locate in part of their operations in Marshall.
Right, and that'd be very interesting to see something like that. And like you say, one thing that adds to this growth too is the foresight that the city and the EDA envision, because like you say, go ahead and buy that land, and so that it's ready when industry comes in and they want a place to build.
Well, planning is important for community development. I think we have all been around the state and in other communities that you wonder, why did a development happen like this, or why was this business located near this residential area? And usually the answer of that is there wasn't adequate planning. And I think Marshall, can pride itself in that we do have a comprehensive plan, and it does really identify where certain types of investments should be made. We have the industrial part of town on the north part of town. We have on the south part of town, that's where the residential area is. And we have retail that is, not only downtown, but then in this almost a triangle, going out to College Drive and then back along Highway 23, and then in the Highway 23-59 area. That's where retail activity happens. And that hasn't just happened like that. That is really following our comprehensive plan. And it's more than just where things should be located. It's also where services can be provided. So, where is the trunk sewer lines? Where are the main water mains? Where is the, all the infrastructure that's necessary? And then also, how can we do that in a safe way so that, there isn't traffic conflicts and things like that happen because of, poor development. So I think, and I don't want this to sound self-serving by any means, because there's a lot of people that have been involved in planning the community over the years. But I think, what we see now is the, benefits from the vision and the foresight, for 20, 30 years ago in good planning. So
and we've got, like I say, the people that are capable of doing all of this, like the planners, and then I often say, and people who know how to get it done too, and finish up the project. And sometimes it gets stuck in some communities. It just gets stuck. Well, I guess we can't go any farther than this. And we've been very fortunate to have that kind of leadership, and we've continued to grow. And not only economically, Marshall has grown in other directions too, like the Red Baron Arena, which will certainly bring extra tourist dollars into our community, and then also we have things that that the residents can occupy themselves with. And of course, part of it would be going to the Red Baron for tournaments and for home shows and that type of thing. But I've been working for, I mean, it's several years. I can remember I was on the DNR committee at one time when we started talking about bike trails, and we thought it's never going to happen. Here it is. It's pretty much done now, isn't it?
Well, it is, and in fact, you're really hitting on two things there. And let me first start on the Red Baron Expo
Yes.
and Arena Center, because as you said, that is complete now.
Yes.
And it's starting to be a very busy place. In
Yes.
fact, the State Legion Convention was held there the last weekend of October, and then immediately after that, then the primary expo center had the ice installed. So I know last weekend there was a scrimmage that was there.
Okay.
Next Friday evening will be the first real hockey game, and then after that it's busy. It'll be
Yes.
busy every day and
Yeah.
most hours of the, from morning till in the evening.
Yeah.
So it will be a very busy place. And the whole purpose, again, is that, that's one more amenity that the city, can offer as a regional community. But really the underlying concept behind the Arena and Expo Center is to attract visitors from other communities and from out of state that will be coming here for amateur
Yes.
sports activities. They'll be coming here for the hockey tournaments, just as they come here for volleyball tournaments, just as they come here for last weekend, the regional football high school tournament was
Yes.
here. That brings a lot of people into the community, and
Right.
this is one more venue that will bring a lot of people into the community, and those people, spend money in the community when they come because they eat in the community, depending on the event. If it's a weekend tournament, they stay overnight in the community. In between the games, when they have downtime, they'll be shopping in the community, or they might be enjoying, the parks, or they might be enjoying the bike trails.
That's
Who
right.
knows?
Yeah.
So that's. Thank you for bringing up the Arena and Expo Center. Now, as far as the bike trails, we do have a bike trail plan that is twofold. One is really safety for bike transportation within the community, and that's why we have bike lanes on
Yes.
certain roads. We have areas that are identified that are bike routes in the community in an effort to be safe as bicycles are in the community and are traveling in the community, and as our public really is, we're trying to encourage wellness and
Yes.
active community. And we've been lucky this fall, not lucky, but I mean, we've been fortunate this fall to be able to take advantage of the weather. I know even this past weekend, we took a ride out on the bike trail to Camden State Park and back again.
Yeah.
So people are still biking, even though
Sure.
it's approaching the second week of November.
Right.
People are still outside biking,
Yes.
and that's really what we want to encourage, because a healthy community is an active community.
Yes.
So we have this system within the community, and then we also have the bike trail system that goes to Camden State Park. And that actually starts at the Red Baron Arena and Expo Center, and then goes around the community on the flood control project, so north of the college, comes around to Highway Skunk Hollow Road, then crosses underneath the railroad track, goes to Highway 59, then follows Channel Parkway around, and then there's one segment that is yet to be completed that will connect up with the existing trail that then starts at the fairgrounds, and then that continues out to Camden State Park. So, that total mileage is about 16 or 17 miles one way,
Yeah.
and it's a real interesting route. I always use the example of, there's bike trails and there's regional trails, around Minnesota, but not a lot of them in southwest Minnesota.
No.
I personally have biked on most of the trails in the
you have.
state,
Yeah.
and a lot of them are, former railroad beds, and so they're longer trails, but they're level and they're straight and they're flat. Our bike trail to Camden State Park is actually more interesting than that. It has elevation differences, it has curves, so you go through around trees, and
Yes.
and you go in the park.
Right.
And so I think our Marshall to Camden Trail is really one of the nicer ones in the state, and
Yeah.
and that's one I know as I've been on it is it's busy, and I see that, you know, where people park their cars, you know, that might be coming from, you know, somewhere, you know, not from the city of Marshall, but maybe from a neighboring community, and they'll come to Victory Park, which is the former Wayside Park, park their cars there, get their bikes off of their vehicle, and then ride and then come back. So it is nice, and it also allows people to enjoy Camden State Park, because Camden State Park is, you know, all of Minnesota's state parks are nice parks, but this is really a gem of a state park, and you know, it is, you know, truly beautiful in the Redwood River Valley.
Yeah.
There's a tremendous elevation change. In fact, between where we're sitting right now, we're in Southwest Minnesota State University, between here and Camden State Park. It's over 500 feet of elevation change. So.
Yeah, that uses up a lot of energy too, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
right. So,
But yeah, that's is amazing. And a few years ago, I went with the city engineer out there, and he was going to show me where this bike trail was going to be. And we actually took the utility truck out there. You know, it was so beautiful. It's an area that visitors to the park don't really get to. You know, and so it's just very picturesque and lovely. And I want to mention too that one of my daughters belongs to a group out of Iowa, and they've been wanting to come to the Camden Trail now for the last 3 years, and each year they check with me, say, well, is it ready yet? Can we come? Is it ready?
well, they can come. It's ready.
Yeah, so I told them that this year, but they didn't come. Well, one thing they said they wanted to set up tents in our backyard, and I said, wait a minute, we've got a place for that, you know. But anyway, they just thought it would be closer to the inside bathroom, but that all those things are taken care of along the trail, and it's very nice. Yeah.
Yes. Good.
So and then, you know, we see other kind of cultural development too in Marshall. It's happening. It's not happening real fast or anything, but it's there. We have Mayfac that does a good job of art shows down in their building, and then the last few years too, we've done the wall murals downtown, and people are really impressed with those. And it's nice to have something you know, a little bit different. And of course, Mrs. Whitney is out there waving at everybody. And
Right. Yeah, and you know, and the next art piece will be the Avera Plaza at the Red
Yes.
Baron Arena and
Yep.
Expo Center, and that should be completed. The city engaged the artist. The artist in the project was selected by a committee that was led by Mayfac, and there's others that were involved in that. And then the public, you know, weighed in on the design of the sculpture and actually did the voting, and so the selection was a result of that voting.
sure.
So that should be installed by Sounds of Summer in 2017. So,
Okay.
so
Coming
by
up quick.
August of this coming year, that sculpture should be completed.
And you think about it, Marshall had a sculpture way back after the Civil War, you know, with
Right.
that statue of a soldier out there by in front of the courthouse. So you know, they had that vision way back then. That's about all they could afford, I'm sure. But you know, now we're starting to do more of that, and I've had people tell me, well, we love this sports arena. It's really a great thing, but you know, we'd like to see more cultural events. You know, could we have that too? You know, and it takes a while.
Right,
to
right.
put all
Well,
that
that's
together.
always, you know, with the sculpture that's going at the Avera regional event, or Red Baron and Expo Center. You know, that is actually a requirement or funded, you know, because we did receive $4.28 million of state capital investment dollars through a state bonding bill, but there is a requirement that a % of that be spent on public art. So
Right.
so that's one of the reasons people wonder, well, why are you incorporating a sculpture in there? Well, that's one of the reasons. It's the right thing to do,
Yeah.
plus it's a requirement too.
Right.
So,
Yeah. So it's we've seen a lot of growth, and all of these things bring more people into town, not only to visit, but then some people decide to live here too.
Right.
It's and I had one gentleman tell me one day he had lived in Marshall growing up, and he said, I decided to come back because he said, I have children of my own now, and this is a safe community. He said, if my 10-year-old doesn't come home before it gets dark in the summertime, he said, I don't worry that he's been kidnapped. I just call his friends and see where he is. People feel comfortable.
Right.
And that's another great point.
well, and there's Marshall in the 1960 census was about just over 6,000 people, and now we're about 14,000 people, and that has come because people have chosen to come to the
Right.
community.
Yeah.
They choose to come to the community for a number of factors. One of those factors is a job and employment, but there's, you can find a job or employment in a lot of communities. So
Right.
you start making the rest of that decision based on, what the community tends to offer. And,
Yes.
is this a place where I want to move? If I have a family, is this a place where I want to raise my family? Is there, what is the education system like? Are there cultural or other amenities? If I'm interested in sports, are there those activities? Is there a place where you can be healthy, like a YMCA and
Yes.
bike trails? And is there a place if I want to go to a movie? Are there movies? Are there things to do in the evening? Is there a theater? All those factors really based in.
Oh, yeah.
And those. I know you're probably in the same case of where many of us that, we could be a lot of different places, but we've chosen to be in Marshall
Yes.
and raise our family in Marshall.
right.
And that's why, I came to Marshall in 1979,
Okay.
and my employment placed me here, but I chose to stay here
Yeah,
since that time.
good,
So.
yes. Yeah, and we see that a lot, and we've also seen so much of, when kids graduated from high school, or if they stayed and went to the university here, they left right away. They wanted a different experience, but they are tending to come back now.
Right, and in fact, that's what the last census showed, is that, at the age range between 30 and 45, that's the age that tends to come back to communities like Marshall.
Yeah.
Because it's, as the factors you say, it's a safe community. It's a community if they want to become involved in various parts of the community. It's fairly easy to be involved.
Yes.
In the community. So,
Yep.
And that's, I know the demographers call that the brain gain, that's, young people might leave the community, get some kind of worldly experiences or experience different, but then they come back to a community like Marshall.
Yeah, that's right. And another thing I think that we've really got in our favor as a growing community is that the Chamber and the EDA have worked to, they've changed the name. It's not Marshall Chamber anymore. It's Marshall Area Chamber. So we're including the small communities around us. And I'm sure you've heard this figure. I've talked about it on the show before, that 25,000 people come into Marshall every day to work here. But those 25,000 live outside the city limits in our small towns. And that's such a good thing too, because that provides cheaper housing for them, even though they work here, they shop here and everything. Maybe they want to be in a smaller, much smaller community.
Well, that's a good point. It's not just Marshall, it's a regional community.
Right.
For Marshall to be strong, half the employees that live in Marshall or work in Marshall don't live in Marshall. So,
Right.
so it's really important for Marshall that, the Minneotas, the Cottonwoods, the Tracys, the Ballotons, the Russells, that they all are healthy communities also.
Yes, yes. And they, I've been told different times by people, they say, you're always bragging about Marshall. But you know what? You do not have a lake. And I said, yes, we do now, because we're the Marshall area. And so we have one over at Cottonwood and one over at Chautauqua. And if you want to go, it's not that far.
Right.
So,
You know, when you talk about lakes and the environment, we should talk a little bit about, you know, the weather's going to change and
Yes.
it's going to be snowing, and so the city marshal does have a snow emergency
Oh,
plan. You know,
okay.
so and basically our snow emergency plan on our snow routes, they are signed, you know, so that vehicles shouldn't be on them for parks, so that our crews can efficiently remove the snow. And of course, depending on when the snow starts during the day, you know, it's our goal that, you know, the streets are cleared so that people can get to work on time.
Right.
And that means that the crews will start early in the morning. We have multiple crews, and of course it takes them a while to get all the neighborhoods done. They'll focus first on, you know, the emergency routes by the hospital, and then if school's on, that's the school routes are all open, and then of course downtown and the industrial park, those are all focuses, and then they'll do the neighborhoods. But they really do.
Yeah, they do.
Have a nice nice
yeah.
plan.
Yeah, they do. So that's very good, and we're not maybe especially looking forward to seeing the snow come, but that is part of our our history and part of what keeps us here too, because we like to do things on the snow, like and in the cold weather, like skating and all that too. So
Certainly.
it's a good thing. So. Anyway, I'm so glad that you came today and you could tell us about all these things and remind our viewers all of what they have here and what a special thing it is to live in Marshall. So thank you again, and we'll have you back soon.
Okay, well, thank you, Elaine.
Yeah.